what are some of the things you guys came up with? I'm listening.
Why waste your time?
Why waste your time?
Why waste your talent?
Yeah.
Why waste your talent? Oh my God.
You could have a better job that is less work and pays more money.
You could get a better job with less work, pays more money. What else?
If you do research, then you don't have to teach.
If you do research, then you don't have to teach. Ooh. Okay.
What are you, a commie?
So these are the kinds of things that you think your students would say when they were asked this question. About 77% of the students that were asked said one of these things. Professors at our university don't value teaching. Now, I do want to say this was a survey in 2004, before the LA program was fully.
This is here.
This was here. There is a lack of respect in departments for K-12 teaching. They said it's not considered a full-blown career. They said professors would be angry. They said professors would say, you're wasting your talent. You got it right. They said professors would say, don't do it. Professors would say, do it after you retire from your real job. And they said that K-12 teaching is not at the cutting edge of research. And so regardless of whether or not this is what professors would actually say, this is what the students think would happen to them if they were to tell some of their favorite professors that they wanted to become K-12.
Valerie, do we dare to redo this survey?
Yeah. We dare.
So you said 77% said things like this. So you
Yes.
say, by things like this, are you saying negative comments? So 23%?
No, I mean these kinds of comments. They were this comment, you know, and so we didn't take too much liberty in rephrasing this. But well, I could show you the actual statements that students said that fell under the "you're wasting your talent" comment.
Is there any way of qualifying or quantifying how many said they would get negative responses to any that said they would get positive responses?
There is a way of doing that, and I should do that. I've got the data still. We could look at that.
Because then if you follow that up with Steve, you might see it has the opinion change.
Yes, good point. Excellent point. So that's a good point. But this is the kind of message, though, that students feel, you know, just right off the bat when they are a disciplinary major in one of our STEM departments at a research university. And so these are the messages that we tend to be giving. So findings, how physics teachers are prepared.
So let me cut to the chase. Let me tell you, I'll show you a picture of the findings, okay?
That's not Boulder.
So physics teachers are prepared in back alleys, essentially. Fewer of a quarter of universities reported, of the universities that actually responded to a survey, and I want to remind you that that was 77% of all physics departments. And those that did had very low graduation rates with fewer than 2 students per year, making it difficult to justify needed resources.
And I just want to add with that back alley picture is exactly what we found, is that in most of the universities that we site visited that were preparing lots of physics teachers, it was happening out the back door of people's offices. They were breaking rules. They were doing, oh my God, they were breaking, see, this is why I haven't found this yet. They were doing everything they could to make sure that they could get a student, a physics major, out into the field of teaching in a reasonable amount of time within the resources that were available. They were literally running a little business out their office, and that's what we found.
Yeah. The percentages who are actively involved in the effort are very small, and we'll see some numbers in a moment. Okay, so this is the number of graduates reported in a 2-year period. This is basically all, all responding institutions.
Yes.
With programs, I can't remember if this
With
was
programs,
with
yeah.
programs. And it's important to look at this figure here. The largest by far category of those who had none. No graduates in a 2-year period.
So, sorry. When you say graduates, what does that mean?
They become certified physics teachers.
Okay. That's
Graduates
how
of
many?
their physics teacher preparation program. That's defined in various ways, but basically it leads to certification in one way or another.
So that's how many of the graduates in that major became certified?
This is the number of people who became certified physics teachers who went through a physics department program.
or people who were physics majors who were certified.
Actually, if I could jump in a little bit. I think basically this is from the physics department survey, the physics chair survey specifically, and it's basically for all programs where they reported they had a, specialization, concentration, or track aimed specifically at future physics teachers, whether it led to certification or not. The number of graduates from that particular track totaled over the last 2 years. So if you want to do the annual average, you take those numbers and divide it by 2. Yeah.
Do you know how many go to graduate school in physics? What's the percentage of majors who go to graduate school?
So about approximately to within 10%, approximately half of the students go to graduate school.
I'm a biologist. One significant figure is
So half go to graduate school. Half of those go to graduate school in physics.
So 25%
So 25%
go to
go
graduate
to
school in
graduate
physics. Where do the others go? Business?
They go to industry. They go to industry, essentially work in industry or something.
But half don't go to graduate school in physics,
Half.
but go to graduate school. What do they go to?
Engineering,
Business
most
school,
likely,
med
business
school,
medical
law
school,
school.
law school.
Sometimes we let them go to biology.
Roulette.
If they've been bad.
So the first thing we need to do is suppress physics arrogance, because I've met physicists, and there's not that much to be arrogant about.
I, sir, no physicist.
It's worth looking at these bars here. If you can see them, and it's not easy, there is a bar here, and here, and here. These are the extreme outliers. There's literally only half a dozen or fewer than 10 programs in the whole country that have more than about 4, I think, graduates per year in the entire country. It is worth making the point that in other countries, things are organized very differently. I could show you a similar graph for Finland, a country that has a population of about 5 million people. And they have a similar number of programs that have bars up in here. In other words, they have their physics teacher preparation resources concentrated in a few areas where they do a really excellent job, and they produce large numbers in 3 or 4 universities throughout the country. With the consequence that they have more programs in their country with a population of 5 million than we have in our entire country producing physics teachers. This is looking.
I understand those
What's that?
programs are extremely selective.
What?
The teaching programs in places like Finland.
They are. I do not get the sense that they're any more selective than ours. In that, if you are a physics major and you're interested in teaching, you have a pretty good chance of getting into the program. It's not like they have a formal, at least in Finland, they don't have a formal qualification process where you have to go through a series of exams and pass, be in the top 1%. I don't believe it works like that. It may in other countries. And I think this circle corresponds to the schools that we interviewed. Do we have the words that are going to come up?
Continue, yeah.
Okay. So we can, we basically did first-hand inspections or first-hand conversations with all of these schools. So we covered fairly comprehensively all of the high-producing schools, the high-producing programs in the whole country. These are the ones, again, that produce significant, more than 4 per year. And this is, we basically cut it off here and we did phone interviews with essentially every one of those. Let's see. This is this is a similar breakdown. The largest proportion of departments have no program at all. They don't do physics teacher preparation. Of those who do physics teacher preparation, there is a bit of a gray area because some of them have physics teacher preparation efforts that are independent of the physics department. In other words, there is no known connection with the physics department.
Yeah.
And these were not able to investigate in any real detail, except to become aware of their existence. Of the remainder, this is the group, and this is just another reflection of the data you just saw in that graph. This is the group that has at least one graduate in the last 2 years. These have none. Some of the programs are fairly new and have no graduates mainly because they're, well, presumably because they're new programs. And this is the group that we don't know anything about. So I want to tell you a little bit about our findings. And it is fair to say that the single most clear-cut finding of all that was, and the only one that really came through unambiguously of all the things we thought we saw, was this. Every single program that could be called an active program that had an ongoing production of physics teachers in the period we investigated, they had at least one person, and it often was just one person, in the physics department who was personally committed to the physics teacher preparation effort as a major part or the major part of their professional life. And in many cases, these individuals, in fact, in most cases, these individuals carried on this physics teacher preparation effort despite tremendous obstacles that were put in their way either by neglect or by more specific, focused, I don't want to say attacks, but obstacles that were put in their way either by their department or by the university. They were so committed to the program that they managed to work their way through these obstacles and make sure that it survived and thrived nonetheless. In most cases, these people were operating with, at best, little support. In many cases, with not just little support, but an excessive number of obstacles put in their way. Probably the best way to characterize it is they were able, the ones who were most successful had either the fewest number of obstacles put in their way by the departments or had minor amounts of support. The number of, and this is not terribly surprising, nonetheless we were able to clarify the point that the different departments produced different proportions of their graduates went into physics teaching. So for instance, that's pretty detailed, but the proportion of physics majors from a PhD granting department who went into physics teaching was smaller than those who were at master's institutions, bachelor's and master's departments. So that's probably not that surprising.
Despite the fact that PhD awarding institutions have much larger, typically undergraduate majors.
So they would be not just smaller in proportion, actually smaller in absolute numbers, even though the PhD programs collectively produce more physics majors.
I think it's an important finding, though, that a majority of our physics teachers are not coming from the institutions where physics is being done.
Where, you mean research?
For physics research is being done.
I mean, a large proportion, a significant proportion of teachers are produced at non-research focused institutions.
I'm just wondering if there's some self-selection going on.
There is.
Students come in.
There absolutely is. There's no question there's a very strong self-selection effect. Yes.
Well, it used to be if you wanted to be a teacher, you went up to UNC. That was their normal school, University of Northern Colorado.
Yeah, I mean, many schools have the background of the traditions of being teacher preparation institutions. Many of them used to be normal schools, normal schools. And they carry this tradition even now, 50 or even 100 years later. And they are known as the schools in the state which produce teachers. And people do gravitate there, even those who are interested in teaching in physics or other STEM fields tend to gravitate towards those institutions.
However, that is not the only situation, as we saw from the survey, right? Because what the survey suggests is that if you are at a large research institution, maybe students who would have become teachers, they are dissuaded from becoming teachers because they're surrounded by implicit messages that teaching is not fun.
Yes, this is something we believe, we feel confident in, but we don't have data that firmly supports that conjecture. We do believe that to be true.